साच कमावड़ा, साचो साच कमावड़ा, साचे शब्द मिलाओ, साचे शब्द मिलाओ भाई रे। गुरमत साच रहा, त्रै गुण माया वो है, गुरमुख चौथा पदवाय, कर कृपा मिलायन, हर नाम वसया मनिया, होते जिनके पुण्य है, होते जिनके पुण्य है, इन सत्संगत मेरा भाई गुरमत साच रहा, साचो साच कमावड़ा, साचे शब्द मिलाओ भाई गुरमत साच रहा। जिन्नी नाम पछाड़िया, तिन मिटो बल जाओ, आप छोड़ चरनी लगाओ, चला दिन के भाई, लाहा हर हर नाम मिले, लाहा हर हर नाम मिले, सहज नाम समाए भाई गुरमत साच रहा। बिन गुर महल ना पाइए, नाम न प्राप्त होए, ऐसा सतगुर लोड़ लो, जितो पाए सच सोए, असुर संहारे सुख वसे, असुर संहारे सुख वसे, जो तिस भावे सोए भाई रे गुरमत साच रहा। जेहा सतगुर जानिया, देहो जेहा सुख होए, ऐसा मूले नहीं, भाव लाए जन कोए, नानक एक जोत तोय मूरते, नानक एक जोत तोय मूरते, शब्द रहा, साचे शब्द मिला भाई रे, गुरमत साच रहा। In our last sitting, Gurbani sent the message in the 43rd hymn. The last concluding line was, बाजो गुरु अचेत है सब बद्धि जमकाल, नानक गुरमत उभरे सच्चा नाम समाल. Without the understanding, without the proper guidance of the word coming through the masters, Brahmagyanis, Guru, the whole of the world is lost into the ritualistic aspect of life. बाजो गुरु अचेत है. अचेत, चेतनता, the lack of clear understanding. No clear vision of what it is supposed to be and how to solve that riddle. And when you don't have that, you end up getting the guidance from those who are so-called pseudo-intellectuals, pseudo-masters, and that leads to what? Sab Baddhi Jamakal. Then everybody becomes the slave of the time. How do you get out of it? And the concluding line was, Nanak Gurmat Ubhre Sacha Naam Samal. When you listen to and pay attention to the word coming through the master, Gur Mat, even though the word Mat is normally translated as intellect, that's not a spiritual meaning, that's a grammatical meaning. Gur Mat does not mean Guru's intellect, because Guru is already beyond intellect. If he is still in intellect, he is not a Guru. He may be a Jnani, he may be a philosopher, he is not a Guru. We need to bear that definition in mind. The one who is still trapped in the logic is not a Brahmagyani. He could be a Jnani, but not a Brahmagyani. And this is the language of Brahmagyanis. So we have to be very clear and very careful. This is a very slippery road. We continuously fall back on the linguistic aspect of the word. Technical, grammatical, and it has nothing to do with the technology, it has nothing to do with the grammar, it has nothing to do with the philosophies and arguments. It is a pure energy flowing through the Brahmagyani, totally unrestricted. So Gur Mat means the word coming through the Guru. Once that is understood, then what happens? It says, then you start rising. Ubhre, Sacha Naam Samal. You get after the truth. You start now taking the true word. And we had talked about the nuances of the word here. Again, leading to, coming back to, if you take the word, is this word connecting you directly to the ultimate source of everything, or it is stopping you in the middle somewhere with some stories, with some parables and some models? Somebody raised a question to me once and said, all my life I have been worshipping so and so Ma. Now, am I wrong? Now, the question to be asked here is, and that's what I did. I said, I'm not going to say you are right or wrong. I want you to ponder upon a simple model. If I was to ask you, does a Ma exist? What would be your answer? I would say yes. I said, based on what? What is the model? Well, it's everybody's has. There are bazillion of people working here. I said, that's not my question to you. I want you to go inside. If I was to ask you, is there a God? Is there a supreme being? What would you say? I would say yes. Okay. Now, if you have said that there is a supreme being, then the next question is there a Ma? And the answer is obvious. Yes. Okay. Your answer is yes. Okay. Is Ma different than the Paramatma, the God? Now, obviously, the next answer is going to be yes. That's why I have this and the others have that. See where I'm leading it now? Here is a deity which is being worshipped. And actually, there are 7 deities in India. Female deities. Whether you start with the Durga or whether you start with the Saraswati or Lakshmi or Chandi or whatever. There are 7 deities that carry the femininity with it. And in the Indian continent, they are worshipped. That's fine. Am I right or am I wrong? That's not the question. The question you want to see inside is this deity a creation of another creator? If the answer to that question is yes, then I would ask you the next question. Why don't you go directly to the one who created them all? I'm not saying you whether you are doing right or wrong. I fundamentally want you to delve into this. If there is a supreme creator, and then there are creations, no matter how holy or unholy those creations are, if there are other creations, how come you don't get to that creator, ultimate creator? Why are you standing in the middle? What is your logic? What is your reasoning for it? And now you stop because you have run into a brick wall. Because it's a faith base. Because question was very direct to me. If I want to witness Ma, मैं माँ दे दर्शन करना चाहना, tell me the technique. And I said, I have no problem in you having that desire, but the question would be, what is that Ma? What is this darshan karna chahna? What is that face that you want to see? And why? And suddenly you start seeing the fallacy of those models. Because after all, somebody created a statue. That creation, that face, came out of the mind of that creator. And that creator gave the name to that statue. And then it became a deity and started getting worshipped. So how do you know that's the real face? The same question I asked with the Sikhs. You have a picture of Nanak in front of you or a Guru Gobind Singh in front of you. Tell me, how do you know it is the right picture? Because if the picture was necessary, don't you think it would have been very easy for the gurus to commission a painter and sit and pose and have a painting actually made? Don't you get the message that they deliberately, knowingly did not create an image of any kind? 250, and it's not too long ago, it is only 300 plus years old when the world was into the technology. The Industrial Revolution has not taken hold yet, but the science and technology was already there. Photography may not have been invented, but the people already had that art of sculpturing and painting and everything. Now, it's important to spend some time on it. We insist on creating a symbol. Well, of course, it is easy to get to something by first visualizing it. Okay. So long as you remember that it is just a symbol, to visualize something. And that something is the one which cannot be represented by any symbol. It cannot be presented by any word, any language. It cannot be explained anyway. So long as that remains in your mind, once you get there, symbol will become unimportant. Majority of the conflict in the mind in the world today is because of the symbols. Symbol becomes important. Symbols become holy. Symbols becomes the real thing. We hear that all the time. If you want to see that experiment, you can do it yourself. You can have one Hindu standing here and a Muslim standing here. And you take any statue and break it. And see the reaction on both minds. One mind will say, मेरे भगवान को तोड़ दिया. दूसरा कहेगा क्या बात है, बुत परस्ती है. उसके लिए हमारे भगवान की बेइज्जती हो गई. उसके लिए कुछ भी नहीं. Symbols become important. And that is what Gurbani is highlighting here. Say, Nanak Gurmat ubhre sacha naam samal. Get the true naam. When you get the true naam, that's the only way you go where? Today's hymn. That's why I created this introduction for you. In the 43rd hymn, said Sacha Naam Samal. If Sacha Naam Samal is possibility, then what will happen? The next Shabad, the Rahao, Bhai Re, Gurmat Sach Samao. Gurmat Sach Rahao. It is that word, it is that technique, it is that jugati, it is that methodology which will help you to actually get deeper into the word and raise your consciousness. Understand the fallacy of what the rest of the world is doing. Don't follow the herd mentality, because so many people just cannot be wrong is not applicable here. It may be applicable in Wall Street, where so many people buying the shares of a corporation cannot be wrong because it's going up and up and up. It is not going to apply in the spiritual and mystical world. Majority will always take the easiest possible route. If you want to see, I can tell you today that if somebody goes and say, well, I went to such and such saint and he gave me a word. Oh, he's all right. I went to that one, he gave me 5. Oh no, mine gave me 13. The other one has 21. That's the comparison going on. That's what's being sold. Because the mind is still thinking more the merrier. If somebody says you have 5 words to concentrate on, he must be better than the one who says you have only 1 to concentrate on. Those laws just do not apply in the world of spiritualism and mystical traditions. The common logic just does not hold. And we constantly come back to the same thing. We will spend some time today afterwards also, because I was asked a very poignant question last week. And that was, if we are given the life, is it not to be lived fully? If it is not to be lived fully, why to have the life? Okay? So we will spend some time on it today. Living fully means enjoying all the senses. Living through all the senses. Whereas the mystical tradition is constantly saying to you, transcend the senses. Go beyond. So now becomes a riddle. And that's where this hymn starts from. Isn't that wonderful? The hymn starts from the senses, belonging to the question. And the line is, Trey gun Maeya moh hai, Gurmukh chautha pad paye. Trey gun. And we had talked about these. What are the Trey gun? What are those three qualities in which the entire life is spent? Tamogun, Rajogun, Satogun. In the physical dimension, Satogun is the highest quality. Satogun means one who lives for everybody else, the entire universe. That individual who seeks to make the life of everybody else happier in service of the humanity is the Satogun. In service of your near circle, family and friends, is the Rajogun. And the service of just the self is Tamogun. So now the question is, the one who's living in service of the entire humanity, what's wrong with it? How great this life is. What more to ask for? And Gurbani says, Trey gun Maeya moh hai. It's the attachment to the illusory world. Well, how can it be attachment? I'm serving the other. See the trap? I'm serving the other. In order to serve, you are required and the other is required. Both are needed, isn't it? You can't serve if there is nobody to be served. And somebody to be served, you also need to be there. Both are required. When both are there, you are tied down to the I, the ego. You cannot then experience the egolessness state. That's impossible. That is the biggest paradox for the living in the physical dimension. What is it that you want? What is it that you're talking about? Well, Gurbani is saying, I am talking about you to experience, to be able to exist in a state where there is no you, he, she, it, they, me, I. It doesn't exist. That state of complete Sat Chit Anand, that state of complete blissfulness is possible while in this body form. And I am trying to tell you it is possible. And the mind fights back and says, how is it possible? Why would I want to live in a state which actually feels no sweet, feels no salt, feels no bitter, feels no happiness, feels no... How dull that state would be. Do I want it? The Gurbani says, don't sit in judgment before you have experience. Don't try to analyze with the intellect. My God, how dull would that be? Right? I mean, we joke around here and say, well, let's all go to hell because at least there will be some fun over there, isn't it? In heaven, everybody will be sitting with his gutka in his hand and will be doing part. What a dull life. I don't want to go there. Isn't it? We talk about that all the time. Who is talking about that? That is our intellect. That's our mind talking. It's not Gurmat. It's our mat saying, I don't want to be in such a dull state. Then you are saying that actual godliness is very boring. To be one with God will be the most torturous and boring experience. And Gurbani says that's not the case. You are using your own intellect. That's what is leading you into those conclusions. Where do you want us to focus on? Gurmukh Chautha Pad. The fourth stage. See, it is not giving it any name. It's not even defining it. It's not saying what will not be. It says that you are still trapped into the living in 3 guna. And I am suggesting to you that there is a 4th guna, which is beyond Trey. So get into, start focusing on that. Bring that into your mind consciousness. Trey Maya moho hai. It is still attachment, no matter whether you are attached. The attachment becomes to the God. That's the attachment. Actually, that's the last attachment to go. The attachment with God. Why? Listen to the Guru. It's saying, in order to be attached, 2 are required. One who's attaching, the one who you are attaching to. So long there are 2 needed, that state will not be experienced. It's a very, very delicate point. Very delicate point. So I'm spending some time on it because this concept is very slippery. Because the mind comes again and again, but then why have the life? Well, you have the life in nutshell so that you can see the futility of living through the senses. It is for to actually experientially see, yeah, I have seen it. I have known it, have been there, done that, seen it, and when I have done that, this is what happens afterward. The biggest frustration of a aged person is that the senses are not cooperating anymore. Isn't it? Our desire to have a sexual experience does not disappear. Our sexual organs disappear. Our desire to taste good food isn't gone. The teeth are just not there. Our desire to touch something soft is not gone. The skin is wrinkled. Even the other one who is soft is not anymore soft to the touch. And we know that's the ultimate end of every sense. That's what Gurbani is saying. Trey Maya. Holiest of the holy. And it almost sounds blasphemous and arrogant for someone to suggest to you that Mother Teresa is living in Maya. Gurbani suggests that. And unless we have the courage and the foresight to see through it, this is all waste. This is totally waste of time. Because the Gurbani is constantly bringing to where? Chautha Pad. Don't stop in the middle. Chautha Pad. Get to the 4th dimension. Get to the 4th stage. Go beyond the senses. Because there is a way of existing which is far higher. And the term pleasurable or enjoyable or whatever other, they are all puny as compared to what that actual experience is. The word just cannot explain it. Nobody has done it. Nobody will do it. Those who do it, they are basically trying to make you the followers. Follow me. So, Trey Maya moh hai Gurmukh chautha pad paaye, kar kirpa mein layen har naam vasya mane aaye. Pote jinke pun hain, tin sat sangat mein laaye. Pote does not mean the grandchild. Pote means the one who has the characteristic of this, habit of this. And pun does not mean punadan. Pun basically means the one who has now clearly understood the distinction. The one who can see through the bondage of the ritualism. One who has seen through how dangerous this thinking has been and what it has done to the consciousness, not of just one, but a gazillion of them. Now, so then what's wrong with it? If everybody is, as we say, well, if everybody's going to hell, so let's all go to hell, so what's the big deal? Well, there is no big deal. The world goes on. That's the illusion. The life goes on. God is not in any hurry. He's not going anywhere. It is the entity, it is you, it is me, it is us, if we have seen through the futility of living through the senses and want to end this cycle. That's it. Very individual, selfish, self-centered decision. It has nothing to do with anybody else. No need to go convince somebody else. It's not for somebody else's journey at all. Not to get up and start changing the world. It's not going to happen. It has never happened. In the history of consciousness, whenever a conscious, sensitive individual was sent to the earth, all this individual did was to tell the rest of the world, this is possible. When Guru Nanak came and said, throwing water toward the sun does not do anything, that's 500 years ago. Do you think the people have stopped doing that now? In the household of Guru Ramdas, the oldest son is Prithi Chand, the youngest is Arjan Dev. Here is a Brahmagyani in physical form, and the older son just wants the money. That's it. Just give me the wealth that is coming through this system. I don't have to work. Nothing to do all of it. Just let this collection come through and give me this. That's it. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. And here's the youngest one who says, "De Raj je Raj dehe te kavan badai, je bheek mangaye te kya ghat jai." This is the youngest one. "Je bhukh de tai tahi raja dukh vich sukh manai." This is the youngest one. And the oldest one says, nothing to it. He fought all through the life, and he was one of the instruments in the ultimate martyrdom of Guru Arjan, the oldest brother. Now, when the master himself is in the physical form and the word directly coming through him did not impact his own firstborn, what is the potential? What's the possibility of the rest of the world just getting revolutionized? Not for everybody. Because it is so subtle. And the difference is so great. Why? Because the Maeya, the moh, attach. Traguna Maeya, moha. We immediately fall back into sleep. I am doing so good. I am in service of so many people. I want nothing for myself. I am only helping the others. So now stop for a moment and ask your question, is it? When you are helping others, what is happening to inside you? Let's say you don't do that. What will happen to you? Would you feel better or worse? If your habit is to help somebody, so are you not getting rewarded right away? Isn't there a reward? Wouldn't you be feeling much worse if you didn't do that? Aren't you taking the lesser of the two evils? Are you making a choice? This gives me a more pleasure by helping the other. Are you saying I'm not asking for anything? How do you say that? Do you think if I was not getting anything out of this, I would be coming here? Can I claim this, that I am helping others? And I have nothing, no self-interest, no motivation, nothing vested in it? That would be the biggest possible lie, because there is a reward coming. Because if all of you were here and I did not show up, that feeling will be so painful that I would rather take a lesser of the inconvenience and leave the family and see their scorn and their wrinkled face, yet come here. Because that pain is lesser than the one which I would be facing if I didn't. And that is the problem with Satoguna. And it is nobody, no other religion, no other system highlights that distinction to you. They all say do good, be good, don't be bad, be good. And in that goodness say, oh, now you are absolutely assured there is a reservation for you in right next to the whosoever the deity is. You will be sitting right, you will be the right arm right over there. Why? Because you're doing. I read a article on the internet. 7 sure ways of getting to heaven by the Pope. Before dying, he has documented with assurance to the entire Christian world 7 sure ways. I guarantee it. The Pope guarantees it. Any one of you interested? Get on the internet, you'll find that it's a very recent article. Dying Pope guarantees the salvation. What's going on? Because this one is almost next to impossible to convince the intellect which is trapped in Maya. And that's the hymn. Trey gun, Maya moha, Gurumukh chautha pad paaye, kar kirpa mein layan, har naam vasya mane aaye. It's a rare grace from the beyond, the one who would capture this. And pote jinke pun hai, tin sat sangat mein laaye. Those who have understood, then what happens? This says, then you start gathering the energy around you. That type of souls, that type of body, mind, start gravitating to you. Sat sangat mein laaye. Then you start gravitating to that type of energy. Otherwise, you gravitate to the other type of energy. Bhai re, gurmat sach rahao, sacho sach ka mamana, sache shabd milao. So long as that is the understanding, so long as that is the desire, that is the aim, then what would you do? This sacho sach ka mamana. That's it. Now get into the kamai. Get into the doing. Get into that path. Get into that process. Stop the intellectualization and the analysis paralysis and on and off and on and off. Once you have understood that the senses can go only so far, and after that they would leave a great hole, a great wound into the consciousness, because they leave you. Every sense leaves you. And it leaves a certain hankering behind. Isn't it? Oh, I wish I was 20 years younger. Isn't it a very common statement? We see a good-looking person. If I was 20 years younger, I will date you. The fact is, you are not 20 years younger, and you will never stay 20 years younger. You will get even older than this. And slowly, slowly, even the capacity to say, I wish I was 20 years younger, will be taken away. What happens? Those of you who have experienced the deathbed scenery, what happens to the person when they are on the last breath? Do you know that? They are still trying to communicate something. They still want to leave something behind, say something. The very first thing that is taken away on the deathbed is the voice. And having used the voice all life, at that moment also, the desire to say one last word is there. If it was so important to say, why did you say when it was alive? We play these games. If you have one last thing to say before dying, what would you say? We play these games. If one thing you will do Who would you call? What would you do? And we make a list. How childish. If it's that so important, why don't you do it now? Why are you waiting for the death? Why haven't you done it so far if it's so significant for you? If you wanted to say something to your wife, to your children, to your friend, to your brother, that was so critical, why didn't you say it? Why now? Who are you waiting for? But that desire at that moment, so predominantly strong. And then the people who are around, they put their ear next to his mouth and that's it. All senses will eventually leave. It is the futility of that characteristic that the human body form actually highlights. It is not the other way around. We think the senses are here to tell us how enjoyable the life is. The senses are here to tell us how futile, how short-lived, how temporary. No matter how tasty the food is, how long that taste stays with us? A fraction of a second. You want to experiment? How soft the skin is? Okay, put your hand, when you touch it for the first time, you feel the softness. Okay, now leave it for a couple of minutes. See what happens. When you meet a friend, you want to hug him. At that time, there is a jubilation. Now, if it is so pleasant, keep that hug tight for about 5 minutes and see what happens. The same hug becomes suffocating. Get away from me. Let me go. What's the matter with you? No matter how intimate that hug is, no matter in which environment that hug is, the same hug becomes totally unnecessary, undesirable, unwelcome, unwanted. That's the nature of senses. The senses were given to see through all of that. Every sense. No matter how pretty a face is, how pretty a body is, see the same body 10 years later, and then see what happens. See another 10 years later, then see what happens. And Gurbani says, once that secret is revealed to you and it becomes part of you, it goes deep into your consciousness. What happened to Buddha? At the age of 21, what happened to him? We just saw 3 examples of the senses disappearing. The life revolution came around. We say it every day, but it does not go in. It still remains an intellectual curiosity. Something nice to hear. Oh, very uplifting. Great. Now what? It says, no, that's not enough. Sache saach kamavana, sache shabd milao. Sache saach kamavana. Get on the path. Do it actually. Do what? To transcend the senses. To go beyond the senses. Sense is a hankering for a change. Stop feeding the change to the senses. Start doing something for which it will not hanker again and again. Jinni naam pashaniya tin vitton bal jao. Aap chhod charni laga challa tin ke bhai. Those who have understood it, pehchan le. Those who have recognized it, those fact, they are the blessed one. They are the blessed one. What are they doing? Aap chhod. Means what? Drop your own intellect. Apna aap chadna. Who am I? Drop that. What I have learned, what my intellect says, what my argument says. Once you have gotten that, drop that, and then what? Charni laga. Get that word. Challatin ke bhai. Start on that process. Start walking on that. Laha har har naam mile. Sahje naam samay. Laha. Prophet. That's the true prophet. What is the true prophet? Har har naam. Whenever there is a repetition of the word, that means naam japana. Har har. So you are in the repeating of the process, and slowly, sahje naam samay. You will then become one with that one. You will become the Shabad. You will become the word. That duality, you and I, he and she, will disappear. बिन गुर महल न पाइए, नाम ना प्राप्त होए, ऐसा सतगुरु लोड़ लाहो, जिदों पाइए सच सोए, असर संघारे सुख वसे, जो तिस भावे सो होए. बिन गुर महल न पाइए. Without that technique, without that the opening of the secret, without solving that puzzle, you are not going to get to the state of higher consciousness. Bin gur mahal na paiye, naam na prapat. It is not possible. If you stay within the self-analysis and self-absorption, you will stay in that circle. So what should be done? Aisa Sadguru Lord Raho Jidon Paye Sach Soe. If you have not understood it, if you then get on and first find out what is the true meaning, what is the true. Aisa Sadguru Lord Raho. Go find such one. The one who can help you with that. Don't be satisfied with the pseudo coins and silly intellectual philosophies. And every one of us has that voice inside you. No, this is really not right. He's trying to really con me here. We all know that. Right? I mean, this is the example of, right? We come from so diversified background. Not only birth-wise, religion-wise, country-wise, land-wise, education-wise. What is the diversity here? And what is the attraction? Well, I'm beginning to see the light here. I'm beginning to, that pseudo word, anybody would to, karo, I have done it enough. It doesn't do anything. I need to get to the bottom of this. So it's beginning to resonate. Only that's why you are here. And that's what Gurbani is basically saying. Aisa Sadguru Lord Laho Jiddum Paye Sach Soe. Your inner will resonate when the true words are spoken. There will be automatic connection. Whatever you're seeking. What is love at first sight? Why is it that with certain faces that happens? That is a image inside that immediately coincides with an image outside, and there is a connection. We may not be aware of. That's why they say whenever a child asks a mother or a father, how do you know you are in love? What's the answer? You will know it when you are there. You will know it. There's no way to define it. You will know it. Same is the case with spirituality, the mysticism. If one is a seeker of mysticism, there will be a resonance. Otherwise, you will be going from places to places and places to places and person to person. And you will come with a certain thirst, certain unanswered, certain itch inside, certain discomfort. And when you find the real one, the mind will settle down right there. So this is where I need to settle down. There's no other test. There's no other way to know who's the true master, who's saying the truth. That truth is yours, personal journey. Because there have been people here who said, absolutely no way I can stand even a single moment here any longer. I need to get out of here. This is not my cup of tea. The last 7 years, we have seen here the people of coming and going of every possible, not only just the background, but even religion. The Muslims were here and the Christians were here and Bodhis were here, yogis were here. Some stayed, some didn't. Why? Because of the resonance. Is the inner really looking for that blissfulness? Or is the inner saying, this is all bah humbug? Is another one trying to sell something and I am not a customer for it? So long as that goes on, Gurbani says, you will stay with the Traguna. You want to get to the fourth stage, then ऐसा सतगुर लोड़ लाओ जिदू पाइये सच सोए असुर संघारे सुख वसै जो तिस भावे सो होए. Asur. Sanghar means to destroy it. Asur means the negative energy. The first step toward the journey is the recognition of the negative and positive without becoming judgmental. That's the major catch. Most of us know what's right and what's wrong, but we are also judgmental about the wrong. We are also in condemnation. When you condemn something, you get attached with it by negativity. This is bad. I would not do it. I cannot stand it. I won't tolerate it. I won't allow it near me. You are really attached with it. Actually, you get attached to this more than you will get attached to the positive. Negative attachment is much more stronger than the positive. Hate becomes much more powerful than love. You remember your enemy far more than you remember your friend. So, understand the nature of the negative energy. It binds you, it holds you, it takes you back. Unless until you are absolutely aware and alert all the time. There is no vacation from it. It's not a part-time job. That's why my commonly stated becoming a Sunday Sikh is not enough. I come every Sunday, I spend a couple of hours there and I'm done. Doesn't work. It is continuous all the time, all of the life. So what happens? Asura sanghare sukh vase jyotis bhave so hoye. Then on that path, the negative energy disappears and a certain peace and quiet start settling down on you. Jeha satgur kar jaanaya teho jeha sukh hoye es aisa moole nahi bhav laye jan soye. Jeha satgur kar jaanaya. It's a very poignant secret in this one. If the word coming to you is bringing the positive energy and raising your consciousness, you will say that this person is sending you the right vibe. But if the same vibes coming to you are causing to you the discomfort, you will say this person is doing bad. Now the reality is this person is neither doing bad nor good. Right? He's sending the vibes. And everybody is receiving the vibes. So the focus is what kind of receiver you have, not the transmitter. Normally, instead of looking at the receiver, we end up looking at the transmitter. And we run away from the transmitter. And then we wonder, how is it that the other transmitter is okay? How can you be okay with so and so? Just as we were talking last week, when somebody said, how can we be with that guy? He absolutely is a tyrant in his home. His wife is absolutely tired and sick of him. Right? Talk about that. So here is a vibe going to someone who's absolutely tired and sick of me. And here are the vibes that you would travel so many miles to come and sit. So the transmitter is the same. So what's happening here? What's the receiver? If the receiver was to focus on the self and start tuning the receiver, certainly that you will start catching different stations. Because in the air, there is all kind of vibes going on. Right? Right now, as we are sitting here, every television station is transmitting into the air. And there are images that you would not want your 13 years old to look at this hour. But those images are there. Right? So then what decides what is seen? Not the transmitter. Receiver. The focus on the self, not on the other. That's the key. Whenever something is happening, immediately turn inward. So why is my reaction to this such and such? Not why he or she is doing such and such. Why is my reaction to it? The key. That's what Gurbani is saying. Jeha satgur jane, teho jaya sukh hoye. The way you receive it, that's what is going to determine what you get out of it. Because the Satgur's word will be the same for everyone. It's just the word. It's going out. How you receive it is going to determine whether you evolve in consciousness or whether actually you fall, because it can actually do the harm. And it is mind-boggling in a way. How can the same word uplift somebody so much and destroy the other completely? How is that? Well, it isn't the word that is the doing it. It is the receiver who has decided to react to the word that way. Thanksgiving comes, people pack up the food and go to feed the homeless. And the homeless suddenly become more sad. Why? Somebody just came and reminded them, you are that poor and that homeless. That we are bringing a sandwich to you. Whole year nobody reminded them. Now he feels like committing suicide. The suicide hotlines are the busiest during 2 holidays in this country. Christmas and Thanksgiving, which are actually supposed to be the most holiest. What's happening here? Why not? Well, the situation hasn't changed. He was just as poor day before Thanksgiving, then he is going to be poor day. Why? What happened on Thanksgiving Day? That decision to react to that day differently than reacting on other days. Reminding it. The whole of the energy goes in that direction. So it isn't the transmitter. It is the receiver. Going to the Gurdwara, church, temple, means what? If you have gone with the mindset, take our case. I mean, Dhaliwal Sahib reminds me most of the time that now when he goes to the Gurdwara, he doesn't react the same way to the Gurdwara, the way he used to go first. Actually, many times he chides me, you have made my going to Gurdwara impossible now. His wife complains that he doesn't want to go there now. Why? What is the problem here? It's the same Granthis, same Gyanis. And they are saying the same stories. They are singing the same hymns. What has happened here?
You changed the transmitter.
The receiver has changed. It's the same transmission coming along, but now the receiver just doesn't accept it. Just filters it out. And that's the key. To change the self. Not worry about the transmission. Worry about the receiver. As you worry about the receiver, what happens? Teho jaya sukh hoye. As the receiver keeps on fine-tuning, it keeps on getting more and more in tune with the blissful energy rather than the negative energy that is surrounding you. Eh sehsa mule nahi bhao laye jan koe nanak ek jot doye murti shabd milava hoye. Eh sehsa mule nahi. Sehsa means the doubt, the fear. It is giving the assurance. Say, don't doubt this. It is assured that if you bhao laye jan koe, if anyone accepts these things in the spirit they are being presented, then you would get to where Nanak ek jot doye murti shabd milava hoye. With the help of that word, you will get to that ek jot, that one energy, and you will become one with one. So that is the journey. Gurbani will keep on reminding you that that is the journey. That is the ultimate purpose of the life. to show you experientially, not to write it in theory or document in books, but experientially see the futility of living through the senses, which are temporary, kshanbhangur, momentary, and then also exacting the price. Behind every laughter there is a tear, behind every night there is a day, behind every spark of brilliance there is sadness. Look at all those opposing things, and here is a possibility of existing in a state which is beyond all of them. May He give us the courage and conviction for listening to these words and taking them in the way they are presented, so that the purpose of the life can be fulfilled. With that, I want to thank you all for coming today. We have finished the 44th hymn, and in our next meeting, whenever that is, we will take this from further on, and we'll open for any